And that should be part of your plan. Once you have what you want, you've got your goals set, like we talked about last week. You've got everything written down. You've created a vision statement, a personal mission statement for yourself that defines who you want to be. The next step in your plan should be breaking down actions. What is it that you're actually going to do to achieve these goals and get to that person you want to be? And these actions should be simple. They should be repetitive, because the more you repeat something, the more ingrained it becomes. And don't be discouraged if you don't keep to it immediately. It takes time for someone to develop a new habit, usually at least 21 days. So if you do something 21 days in a row, you become used to doing it. If you miss a few days doing something, start over, pick up where you left off, and keep going. The more times you keep going, the easier it will be to keep doing these actions. And these can be things like going for a walk every day. It could be cutting out carbs. It could be whatever action step you have determined will get you to the person you've defined in your personal growth plan.
Yeah, one of the things you can do is use modern technology. Say you're taking a day or a couple of days off of television and watching the news. YouTube is fantastic in that you can just type in search phrases. So if you write down on paper things that interest you and you type in search phrases on YouTube, you're going to have a whole lot of different videos that you can watch that will help you out as far as those things go. And I just switched from DirecTV to Roku TV. And so now I'm watching YouTube on my big screen television instead of just on my computer. And I found that I'm spending a whole lot more time watching YouTube than I ever do watching all of the other stuff, just because I like watching positive things out there, or maybe fun things. I mean, I'm into old comedians and so on and so forth. So I'll go on there and watch Rodney Dangerfield just to get a laugh, or some other things. But there's a whole lot of things that you can do out there, and there's a lot of technology that you can look up positive stuff in there without turning the news on. So if you want to develop yourself into like a daily happy hour or something like that, that's a great source. Just write down the topics that you're interested in and search them out on YouTube or on the internet, and you're going to find some really, really neat stuff.
Absolutely. There's a ton of content out there. And you can find the things that make you happy and put you in the right mindset. And it can be an inspirational video. It can be an old comedian. It can be old movies, or a favorite movie that maybe you've seen it 100 times and you could watch it another 100. Could be music. There are apps like iHeartRadio app that bring you radio stations from all over the country. So I know where we are, I can't turn on the radio and hear classical music. I can't turn on the radio and hear jazz music because we don't have stations in this area that play them. I can launch those apps. I can listen to classical music out of New York City. I can listen to a jazz channel out of San Francisco. I can listen to a comedy channel out of Ohio. Whatever I want to hear, I can turn on.
Yeah, you can also go just to your internet browser and sign up for a Pandora account and classify things that way. Do that kind of thing. I mean, I've had Pandora for several years, and one of the nice things about that is you can get a channel. My wife loves Stevie Wonder, so we signed up for the Stevie Wonder channel, but you can throw in all other different types of artists that you like. So basically, our Stevie Wonder channel now has about 25 or 30 different artists in there, where we're getting the whole mishmash of things that we've been listening to for 30 or 40 years. And sometimes we don't even hear Stevie Wonder, but I might get Chicago or the Beatles or Ray Charles, a whole bunch of different things. So there's a lot of ways that you can accomplish that just by going on there for Pandora, or like you're talking about, getting your own apps and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. There are tons of those. iHeartRadio, Spotify. And of course, I specify those two because they also carry Success Showcase. You can listen to podcasts there.
Pitch.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
But
another fantastic tool that's very easy for you to do every day is a gratitude journal. Just do it before you go to bed at night or first thing in the morning. Write down what you're grateful for, the great things that have happened to you during the day or yesterday, and just read that. I do mine in a spreadsheet, and all I do is I number the days of the year down the left-hand column. So you have 365 days. And one of the cool things about that is if you do that for a while, mine goes back to 2014. I can actually go back and see what's going on the same day that I'm writing about 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years ago. And it's really, really cool to do that and reminisce. So keep a gratitude journal, read it. It's a great, great way to keep yourself positive and realize all the great things that are going on in your life.
And with all of these apps and journals we're talking about, what it comes down to is that once you've determined what it is you really want, who it is you want to be, you need to round up the tools that are going to get you there. And they can be gratitude journals, they can be regular journals where you're just keeping track of what goes on in your life, exploring your own thoughts. They can be apps like radio apps, productivity apps, whatever's going to get you to where you want to be. And of course, one of those tools can be getting a personal coach. Athletes use coaches, actors use coaches. People are used to hearing about it in their careers. But for personal growth, coaching is also useful. And one of the things that the coach does is hold you responsible, hold you accountable, and keeps you on track. Now, for those of you that don't feel you want to use a coach, you can do the same thing by putting together a group of friends who are all doing this together. They're all working on their own personal growth plans and holding each other accountable like a personal board of directors.
Yeah, you just hit my next point that I'd written down. It's the mastermind principle. And the bottom line is it's great for personal growth. It's also great for your business because most businesses don't have boards of directors. But if you get a couple of other people that you know who own businesses and get together periodically to become each other's board of directors, that helps out too. But a mastermind situation where you're sharing personal growth planning and holding each other accountable that way and coming up with new ideas is a fantastic way to do things. And obviously a personal coach is great, but the power of many, to me, as far as I'm concerned, is even greater. So if you have 4 or 5 people that you're getting together with on a regular basis to work on these things, it's just awesome.
Absolutely. When you're working with a group, you all hold each other accountable. You're a lot more likely to follow through. In fact, that's actually the theory that started Weight Watchers. There were loads of diet plans before Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers became so popular and so effective, not because the diet was so great, but because they came together for meetings once a week and you had a support system. You had people that were holding you accountable, people who were cheering you on. And that's also important. When you're working with a group of people on this, you're not there to put each other down. You're there to support each other and to be cheerleaders for each other. When something happens, when you meet a goal, when you get closer to a goal, you want that encouragement. And that's something that's very important. Weight Watchers took that and they created their entire business around that group that encourages you. And it worked very successfully. It works for that. It works for your personal growth plan.
It's also really important to congratulate yourself and celebrate your own accomplishments too. There's nothing wrong with doing that, and you're not being selfish by doing that. It's very, very important. And the bottom line is you'll know whether it's coming from your heart or whether you're just doing it for your own arrogance. And most of the time it's just a wonderful feeling. But you got to celebrate your accomplishments. Go to the mirror and smile and say, wow, this is really, really cool. And if you're doing it with other people, that's a fantastic way to do that too. Next time you go to a networking meeting or starting something up, turn around and give everybody 5 next to you and see how everything starts out on a positive note. It's a lot of fun. And the bottom line is you have to have fun.
Right. And that's another important part, is that you should look at this as a journey, and you should reward yourself as you make progress. So as you hit milestones in your goals, and remember, we talked about goals being measurable last week, set up these milestones along the way and put together rewards for yourself. Say, if you get to a certain point, you'll go to dinner at your favorite restaurant. If there's a movie you've been wanting to see, if you get to this point, you get to go to the movie. If there's something you've been wanting to buy yourself, make that a reward and work towards it. It helps you keep up your motivation, and you need to reward yourself. It is impossible to keep going when everything is status quo. You need to have something to look forward to, and these rewards can help you do that. So we've talked a lot about putting this plan together. The important part is putting it down, writing it down. You should have all of this on paper or on your computer, somewhere where it's tangible, because that moves it from something you're thinking about to something you're doing. And you need to follow through on a regular basis. Every day, take another step towards these goals. It's also important, as we talked about last week with goals, to break these things down. If you want to improve yourself by reading more, saying you're going to read 50 books in a year may sound very intimidating. When you break it down to 1 book a week, it's a lot less intimidating. So make your goals as simple as possible and make them easy to follow through on. And as you put all of this down, you put your goals down, the steps to get to those goals, the rewards for those goals, and your personal mission statement that describes where you are going to end up. This becomes an actual plan. And once you do that and you start following through on that, you will become the person you want to be. Now we're just about hitting our time. So Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway for our listeners this week?
Well, first of all, find out your purpose and your why. Work on that first, your mission, and then apply that to the different areas of your life, your personal life, your professional life, self-improvement. List the areas that you want to improve in, come up with your SMART goals, do it, and celebrate it when you achieve it. But get into action, starting with your purpose and your why, and just logically go through things, and you're going to have a wonderful plan for personal growth.
Absolutely. I think the big takeaways for me, one is to make your plan complete. Include your personal life, your finances, your career. Anything that you want to improve should go into this plan. Make it as complete and comprehensive as possible, because you'll find that each section you're working on affects the other sections. So you want to make this complete. And the other big takeaway is it's not just about doing things, it's also about the things you stop doing. So be sure to include those in your plan as well. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch us every week at xvadio.com/podcasts. You can also find us at the Apple Podcasts app, the iTunes Store, iHeartRadio app, Spotify, and wherever you find your podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week